Welcome to Grass Touchers, the show where the three of us fellas talk about video games, how little time we have for them, but how much we love them anyway. I am Jake.
I'm Jordan.
So short. And I'm Greg.
I'm a grass toucher. I don't have time to just waste saying my name that long.
That's right. We got to get this bread. We got mouths to feed. We got to move this thing along. Let's go. Come on. What have you been playing lately, Jared?
I've been playing Tekken 8 still. I've been playing a little bit of Ark, and I got my entire base wiped and they killed all my dinosaurs. And I've been playing...
I thought you said you were going to stop.
Did I say that? That's crazy, dude.
No, I never said that.
No, and then I've been playing I just tried Marvel Midnight Suns is on sale, and my brother's really been endorsing it, so I'm enjoying that.
Neato.
Gregory.
A little bit of Baldur's Gate, a little bit of PUBG with Jake. Work's been busy for several weeks now, which is cool. And haven't had a lot of time for games. Actually, my wife and I played almost 2 hours of Mario Party earlier tonight.
Oh, yeah,
we played the Mario Party Superstars, which is like the collection of the greatest mini games and stuff for Switch that came out, I guess, 2.5 years ago. We love that. It's fun. And my wife's been playing a lot of the Steam Deck. In fact, almost every night when I log in and Jake and I are playing PUBG or whatever, I get the notification on Steam that the Steam Deck is being played. And I'm like, oh, she's playing Dr. Mario. That's what she's doing. She's she's enjoying it, which is great. And she's
That's awesome.
Being pregnant is good for her to have something to take her mind off of things, which is really cool.
For sure.
That's pretty much it for me.
I love how you have the newest, one of the newest, greatest flagship, most powerful gaming handhelds, and your wife's in the other room, fires it up, and Steam's all, Steam Deck has been powered on. And then you hear from the other room,
every time, dude.
Game Boy game.
Dude, it's so funny you say that because I have a Bose Bluetooth headset that I use like when I'm listening to music in the office or whatever, right? Or if I'm practicing tuba, which I have been playing more recently, and I'll put like click tracks on and stuff when I'm practicing. But for some reason, and I've got to figure this out as a grass toucher, but my Bose headset loves to automatically sync to the Steam Deck first, no matter what. It syncs to the Steam Deck, and every time I have to like text Casey and say, hey, can you turn Bluetooth off on the Steam Deck? Because I'm like trying to like do a click track, whatever, and I hear bum 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 bum, like super loud.
You're sitting there trying to practice
headset.
tuba and like play long tones, and there's like,
and dude, every single time this happens.
That's awesome, dude.
So that's my life right now, guys.
That's awesome.
That is so excellent. I have been enjoying a little Armored Core 6 and Baldur's Gate 3 and a little PUBG, and there's a pet game that we have, me and Greg at the very least,
Nintendogs?
called Rainbow. Oh, don't break my heart with Nintendogs, dude. I love that game. We returned to Rainbow Six Siege the other night because PUBG was in maintenance for a 0.1 update, and we were like, do we dare? Like, what other game do we have sort of downloaded and ready to rock
We
right
dared.
now? And we did dare, and I can't believe we did it. But I gotta say, we lost one, and then we won 2 matches, and this was all ranked. So we won a couple of games. One of them was overtime. It was all fair and square.
First
so that
hit's
was
always
cool.
free, gentlemen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, you're over there with Ark getting your
I know.
pillaged. So that was kind of rad. I started watching more like Siege YouTube videos, and I'm sort of getting plugged back into that just a little bit. But it's still in this horrible, horrible place with like, content updates that nobody asked for, operators that they're like, why? This isn't fixing the problem. Like, this is adding more wrinkles to the meta, and meanwhile, there's still, all these other things. So Armored Core 6, though, I want to launch into that because I got to say, I love a good Steam sale. And this wasn't part of, it wasn't like all mech games are on sale this week. It was like, hey, something from your wish list just is like randomly on sale. You want to check it out? And I was like, oh, yes, I do. Because from what I understand, $60 might have been a little steep, or $50. I can't remember what it was. I feel like it was 60. Yeah, I feel like based on what I've heard about it, there is multiplayer. You could go PvP. You could try to like level up or rank up or something, and it certainly has replayability to a degree. Now that I've sunk my teeth into it, but it wasn't something I wanted to pay $60 for because it's not. I don't know. It's not as big, like say Baldur's Gate, right? Like it's not as big of a game as some other titles that are $60. So it was on sale for like 20-something% off. I think it was like 40-ish.
Yeah, it's 30. It's 30 right now. It's on sale for $42, which is great.
There we go, 42. That's what I paid. So I put that bad boy on the Steam Deck, and boy howdy, is it ever an excellent Steam Deck game. The only drawback is the font size, a little tiny. Occasionally, I gotta kind of hold it to my face a little closer. But I have a couple memories of mech games from when I was but a child, and this game is, with the exception of its speed, right? Because it's very much an action game, like it's pretty fast paced. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it reminds me of all those games, right? Having all this customization that you can do. The customization is a little lighter than in some other games. What I'm comparing it to, by the way, is some of the first like Mech Warrior games. I don't know if you guys ever played those.
Yeah, for sure.
So my dad, I've mentioned before that my dad is a pilot and he was in the Air Force, and so we had like a joystick at home and flight simulators always on all of our computers. And one of the games that he got at some point was Mech Warrior 2, I want to say. And you could use the joystick on that thing. So like between the joystick and the keyboard, you were like WASD, like walking around with that, but then like moving the joystick to turn like the upper torso of your tank, dude. And it was so rad the way that you could have like 6 different weapons, you know, lasers and particle cannons and Gatling guns and rocket launchers, and then you could assign them to like, you know, left, right, and center. And then there was this thing called an alpha blast where it was like all of them at the same time, but it drained your power. You had to manage your power meter. And I got super into that game. I was not prepared for it as a 8-year-old, 9-year-old. I was like, oh, why did I die? I don't get it, you know? Right. And it certainly wasn't online. It was just different like single player missions. But I thought that game was freaking cool. And then that fed into enjoying like on Toonami when I would come home from school, like Gundam Wing.
Dude, Gundam Wing. Come on. Are you kidding?
Can we just please
We need to do an entire pod episode about Gundam Wing.
Right.
Such an amazing show.
Do not claim to like anime if you've never seen this classic.
Yeah, I know. I am not an anime guy by and large. I'm truly not. I've not seen Attack on Titan. I haven't watched Naruto. I haven't watched One Punch Man. I know of the classics that I've been told are the classics, but I've only seen a couple. And Gundam Wing and Gundam Iron Orphans are some of my favorites. Those are pretty good.
I got to interject for a second here.
Go ahead.
Real quick. If you're going to watch anything, either of you hooligans, you deviants, watch Cowboy Bebop for the love of all that is sacred.
Cowboy Bebop is really good.
I have
seen 4 or 5,
dude.
I've seen 4 or 5 of those episodes. I have.
All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
So in line with like mech games and mecha anime, and I built Gundam models, the little plastic snap together guys.
Yeah.
I built a bunch of those.
Me too.
I was super into all this mech stuff. I always thought it was super cool. Zoids, for that matter.
Yeah.
Even. But when it comes to the Armored Core series, I haven't actually owned one of these games until now. I've played them like at a friend's house, rented them from Blockbuster, gone to Circuit City and craned my neck upwards to like play the latest demo. In fact, I remember Armored Core 4 literally at a Circuit City, really enjoying that game because it was one of the first things to be presented to me in either 720p or 1080p. I'm not sure. It was PS3, so I think it was capable of 1080p certainly. And it was so overwhelmingly complex compared to the other games that I was playing, right? All the bits and bobs that you can put on the mech and, like I said, manage power and manage speed versus, you know, just density and like, you know, putting treads on there and being just like a powerhouse. So fast forward to 2024. I am playing Armored Core 6, and here's what I like about it. I love the customization because it's a reasonable amount of customization. It does not have interchangeable, you don't have to upgrade like the individual RAM sticks in the computer of the head unit of the mech. Like
So it's not baby's first Tarkov. It's not.
It is not. It is not. I would compare it
Game sounds awesome though, Greg. Baby's first Tarkov. Nerf Tarkov.
Nerf, dude, like super soakers and Nerf guns and laser tag guns.
The scavs are just like orphans. They don't have parents. Cheeky breaky.
And when you get shot, you just fall down and like cry for your mom to come pick you up from the birthday party because you're just like rage quitting.
Yeah, therapist is your mom.
Yeah. Oh man. So there's an affinity I have for the customization because it's my speed for like where I'm at in life, right? This is not my new favorite thing. I don't want to sink my teeth into it super, super far. And so there's a good unlock pace, which I think is rad. When you finish a mission, you will probably have new parts waiting for you in the part store. Yeah. It is not hard to get currency. As you beat the individual sorties, you get rewarded with what I would say is an appropriate amount of currency so that you can go try out some of the new things you just unlocked. And the other thing that's interesting, you can sell the parts back to the store for like the same price that you bought them for. And so you'll never like get yourself into a hole where you've gone negative or lost the value of any of these things. All it's doing is controlling how many things you have in your inventory that you can swap out in the like hub world, which I think is really brilliant because a game like this is so fast paced. It's meant to be, engaging and quick and like, this isn't about the overworld. This isn't about customizing yourself to the teeth. This is about putting cool stuff on your mech and like getting out there,
right.
And wrecking shop. And I think that's been really cool. What's holding me back, the things I don't want to say I don't like it, but the things I'm running up against as a challenge, is the pace, dude. And like some of the mechanics are pretty demanding on my little thumbs. And I just am too much of a grass toucher to like I equipped a shield, right? There's like a energy shield thing you can put on your left shoulder. And I was like, well, that seems smart because I'm not going to be the best at this game. Like, let me grab the shield. I'll be more defensive. And the first couple of missions that I used it on, I was like, did I even use it more than once? Like, I don't think I really got a lot of mileage out of this. But I just kept it on because I didn't have anything better that I could afford to put in that slot. Mm-hmm. And I got to a mission where I really needed my left shoulder to be doing something more productive than a shield I don't know how to use. Because there's this, like, not a parry, but, like, there's a timing mechanic to using the shield. And I didn't realize that was going to be so impactful to the usefulness of the shield. And so anything that requires...
It's very FromSoft. Like, in terms of the...
And that's what I'm realizing. Right. So, like, parrying and countering and timing certain things and breaking through shields and whittling down, I think they call it attitude. There's some sort of points system in Armored Core 6 where you have to do a certain amount of damage to, like, break through the initial sort of defensive parts of the mech. And then they have weak spots, of course. So, like, if you go around to the back of them, they're less shielded or something. So you have to do a certain amount of damage, and then they get, like, stun locked, and then you can do the damage that you really want to do to actually get rid of their health bar. And for bosses, this is especially important because there's this one boss that I just beat recently. I didn't even realize, because I'm stupid and I don't play games like this very often. He was like this bulldozer artillery bot thing, and he had this great big old bulldozer shield on his, like, front side, and he was always turning so that his front side was facing you, but you had to outmaneuver him.
Right.
And I didn't have a super maneuverable mech at first, which I fixed. And I was just lighting this guy up. I had a bazooka. I had an assault rifle. I had both of my shoulders with, like, quad rocket pods. And I was like, I can't break through this guy. And I realized it's just because I needed to go around to back up him. I was hitting this part of him that it's not like, hey, shoot the weak spots like in Time Crisis, and it's like it circles the weak spots like really, really obviously. It's not like that. Right. You have to either there was a voice line that explained it, and I just missed, like, hey, he's got a shield in the front of him. So anyway, I got to a point where I had equipped the right parts and then gone around and outmaneuvered this guy so that I could shoot him. And that was a challenging boss battle for me at first. But now that I think I get it, I bet I will find there'll be like a skill ceiling, skill issue. Right, and then I'll just go back to the hub world, retool, and that's the game loop. You're meant to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't think, from what I've read anyway, there's not really one build that unless you're just godlike at the game, you're meant to try out all these different builds because you will need them, because the missions are going to throw these enemies at you that have strengths and weaknesses that you need to cater to. So yeah, this game
Bless you.
This game really rocks, and I think the story is like not nothing. You know, it's kind of rad. You're this mercenary competing for attention and credits with other mercenaries for all these corporations, and I'm sure there'll be some sort of, hey, corporations are like evil, man. I'm sure there'll be some sort of story beat as far as that's concerned. But Jared, I know you've played this game. What are your impressions, bud?
Yeah, I've beaten it twice because there's a new
game.
Shoot. There's a new game plus and then a new game plus and
oh, cool.
And you get because I think there's 3 different endings in the game, and the different endings are like different bosses. And but I really enjoyed the game. Like Jake said, there's so much variety that can be there because I'm a customization guy. I enjoy customization. I like making a game feel like it's a unique experience to me. But this game does that with its gameplay. It's probably the best handling game I think I've probably ever played.
Oh, it feels like $1 million.
There's no moment where, and you also play that against what you're doing in the game, and it's pretty amazing because the game makes you feel so cool. And that sounds like such a gay thing to say, but there's a lot of games that just they're games and we're used to it and we've played lots of games and we're enjoying it for the things that they're doing that are different. This game really makes you enjoy how cool you feel. Like I'm flying around and dodging and your brain starts to like meld with the game in a way that's like you're on like a different level. You're like I remember watching because Joe, my soon-to-be brother-in-law, he 100% in the game. He absolutely loved it. So watching somebody play it is kind of crazy because it's like, how are you doing this? Kind of like not totally. I'm not like, your 72-year-old uncle who's over Thanksgiving who's like, wah, freaking out because you're like doing anything on a video game. But it is great, and they do a great job graphically. There's a tremendous sense of scale with some of the bosses.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I guess you'd say it was a boss. There was this big like
the sandcrawler.
The sandcrawler thing with the giant laser beam on top of it, dude. That thing, like, one-shotted me at a certain point in the mission. And I was like, "Oh, dip, that was super cool."
Yeah.
I mean, it's lame that I died or whatever, but restart the mission, baby. This is
sweet. Right. And that is No, keep going. Sorry.
One of my kids watched me play that game for a second. He's like, "Daddy, what are you playing on your Steam Deck?" And I was like, "It's a robot game. You want to see?" And he was like, "Yeah." You
just get nuked.
And he was like, "Dad, careful! Dad, look out!"
Right.
And then at the end of that mission, that's the mission that he watched me play, and he was really glued to it. And I think that's like the 7-year-old test, right? That's how cool this game makes you feel and how cool it looks, is that a 7-year-old is actually captivated by it. Yeah. Whereas if my kid watched me play Baldur's Gate 3 or something, he'd be like, "Why are you going so slow?
Why are you having sex with that orc?
Why are you letting that vampire man suck your blood at the campsite really late at night?" Like,
whoa, dude. Speaking of which,
I didn't let him bite my.
Talking about Baldur's Gate, talking about Armored Core, dude. I've decided I'm gonna be a Baldur's Gate contrarian, dude. Armored Core farts on Baldur's Gate, dude. Armored Core walks across the room and at camp, and Baldur's Gate is sleeping, and Armored Core just bends over and just farts right in his face. I'm just gonna say right now, that game is so awesome. Armored Core is one of my favorite games of last year. Try it if you haven't, because it handles so well, and it's one of those I have not had that experience with any other game.
Yeah.
To feel like,
I have to agree.
Yeah.
Have you guys played Armored Core 2?
No, that was ancient enough that I would have missed on that one.
So Armored Core 2 was like a early PS2 release, and that game was rad.
Yeah.
And that was my only experience to Armored Core ever, and until I'm hopefully gonna take advantage of this Steam sale on Armored Core 6. But Armored Core 2 was rad, dude. There was like a story mode, which I didn't play very much, but there was like you guys know how in Mortal Kombat there's like a ladder mode, right? Like you fight this opponent and then you move up the ladder and you fight this opponent. I don't know if that exists in Armored Core 6. Yeah, I don't know if that exists in Armored Core 6, but in Armored Core 2, that was like the main thing everybody played. And you'd fight harder and harder, progressively more difficult, mechs, right? And I think it was like 50 matches that you would have to go through to where you fought the final, like the hardest, like the best mech in the game. And I spent probably 100 hours playing that with some buddies back in like 2001, 2002,
So those older Armored Core games had a much different pace than this one, and that's what some of the OG Armored Core heads will tell you. I was on Steam before I pulled the trigger and actually bought the game. I'd read some of the reviews, which I don't know why I bothered because I just saw glowing reviews everywhere I looked, but I looked for the negative reviews. So I was like, the people that say not so good things, what do they say? Because if they say the kind of thing that I would find myself saying, then maybe I'll hold off, Right. And this one guy was like, this is not an Armored Core game, okay? It's way too fast. You can't customize anything. And this guy was like, and here's the thing, what I love about the Steam review system is, there's overwhelmingly positive versus mostly positive and versus neutral versus, and I think that's a good sort of gradation between the good and the bad and the ugly. But this guy, it logs, how many hours you have in the game. If you go to review it, it says at time of review, this person had 50 hours in the game. And to me, that's long enough that like, okay, 50 hours, at least you've taken your time, you formed an opinion. But after he reviewed the game, he played like 50 more hours. And I was like, well, it must not suck too bad.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It seems like you kept playing it, know? And so this was a true Armored Core head that like his gripe with the game is that I wanted a slow, agonizing, overly customizable, just different experience. And so if for some reason your thing is a slower pace, and maybe a different feel to the combat system, then yeah, maybe this one wouldn't be for you. But if you just like action, dude, I'm telling you, this game's, like you said, sense of scale, and like any game that has a missile launcher that I can hold a button and lock onto multiple enemies and then let it fly and watch just like light up the ground, that rules.
While you're like shooting your laser cannon with your right arm, it's like, come on.
Yeah. The way it looks and feels is like breathtaking to me. And I guess this is the other reason that I'll admit I may have a bias here is this is not the kind of game I normally play. I typically play shooters if I'm playing something that is sort of heart pounding in any way. And I play them with you guys, right? Some sort of competitive scenes of different games. And I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 and I'm playing like FTL or I'm playing,
Clue
stuff
Hunters,
that is pretty
grade.
Pausable. What?
Clue Hunters 2nd grade. Probably.
And Clue Finders 4th
grade. No, 2nd grade. You're baby too.
And I have these games that are very like pausable. I'm either fully invested in an online against other people experience, or I'm playing something I can pause whenever I want. And Armored Core 6 is incredibly pausable. You just might regret it because you're in the thick of some action. Right. And it's not against other people, at least certainly not the story mode that I'm playing, right? And so it's got a lot going for it, and I'm glad I found a good game that is heart pounding and action oriented that feels this good. And again, praising the Steam Deck OLED as much as possible here. That thing is playing at like $1 million. It runs just butter. I guess if you didn't have a Steam Deck, you could play it on PC with like a controller of your choice via Bluetooth or whatever. You could also play it just on actual console. Is it on Xbox and PS5, I guess?
Yeah.
Seems like it would be.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know because I don't have either
Big
one of those.
Time.
So. Big time recommendation. That's the Jake take on Armored Core 6.
Nice.
It rocks.
Yeah.
It rocks. Please check it out. I'm going to keep my eyes out for other Met games going forward, I think, because it's got me all hot and bothered for some Gundam action type stuff, so. Jared, what the heck is Marvel Midnight Suns, and why should I care, dude?
Well, okay, now hold on. I'm going to touch on this very briefly because I haven't gotten all the way into it yet. My brother, whose opinion I respect and who has been playing games technically longer than I have because he's older than me, but he is playing it and he's like, this is like the new game that I'm like into. And so I was like, okay, I will check this out. And I don't know yet if I agree. So I'm going to say that right now, so far it is fun. And I putting aside the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm going to say I do enjoy Marvel. I like the X-Men. I like Spider-Man. That's been going on for a long time, but we're not going to get into that.
Right.
I will be back with a report on this on the next episode. But so far, so good.
Fair.
Yeah.
And now, before we started recording, you compared it to XCOM a little bit, and then I saw screenshots and I said, "Oh, it's a deck builder." So real fast, like, what is it like minute to minute to start playing this game? What kind of style of game is this?
It is a turn-based game made by Fireaxis, which is the turn-based. Those are the turn-based kings, right? I mean,
is that the same
don't they
people
do
that made
Civ?
Civ?
I think it is. I mean, Fireaxis has been doing those games for like a long time, but it's turn-based. But you do get dealt a hand of cards at the beginning of a turn.
Okay.
And you know, there's components that like you play cards to gain a certain kind of power, and certain cards require a certain amount of power, and you can set cool things up, and there's a lot of potential for strategy. Gotcha. And so far it does look really interesting. I'm excited to dig into it.
And to be clear, XCOM and Civilization are both Firaxis games, and so that's something. Anything sort of Sid Meier.
Who's Sid Meier? I always wondered that as a kid. Who's this guy? Why is
he's got to be the like RTS equivalent of Tom Clancy, right? He's just some guy that they named a bunch of stuff after, and like who knows. There's a ton of Civ games. I didn't realize it had such a long-standing set of games.
He was the programmer producer of the Civilization series.
But why don't they do that with other things like
Peter Molyneux's Fable,
Jack Dick Gitter's Call of Duty 4.
Gabe Newell's Portal 2.
Yeah, dude, I would play that. Yeah, that's so annoying Gabe, they did that.
Like sitting on the couch, like the gameplay is wildly different. He's just like on the couch.
Yeah. Spoiler though, I'm Jack Dick Gitter.
I like it. Is that your alter ego there, man?
Yeah, that's my
Bruce
screen
Wayne
name.
To your Batman, dude.
Yeah, I'm switching it from to.
Never change. I will never forget that shit.
It
was so perfect because they had just rolled out this like attempt at preventing griefing and abuse and racial and the community immediately innovates. Okay, it's like
life finds a way.
It's that's right. The universe is healing, you know. It's like gun control, right? You say we can't have full auto, assault rifles. Hello, bump stocks.
We bump firing that thing out there, boy. Yeah.
You say we can't have high capacity magazines. Hello, speed loaders.
Yeah,
it doesn't stop.
It does not stop.
And so they had. Oh man, I love that story. That is such a that was when we were really into Siege and stuff, and I just don't
represent
U.S.
dude.
Border Patrol shirt.
big represent the United States.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't believe because it was so quick, and we were like, I'm taking that, except different.
That's fine.
Oh man, only real Siege OGs will.
Yeah, it was just a play on it, guys. I didn't actually do the real thing. I did a play on the loophole.
That's right. Oh, man. Well, now that we've gone over some things that we really, really like, Greg, hit me with your topic for this evening. We've got game reviews that we really disagree with, games that we played, and we sort of have a hot take, contrarian take on that. What's your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, we've talked about this a few times in different ways. One of the ways we talked about it is, game fads that we just don't understand, right? Or
yeah.
Jared talked about Zelda or what have you, right? But this topic is more of a games that, for all intents and purposes, are universally beloved, right? Games that, not just in terms of popularity, but in terms of critical reviews, are generally well regarded. And I'm just going to kick it off by posing the question: games that are critically well reviewed and commercially well liked that you've played, maybe even extensively, that you just don't enjoy, even though you recognize that they're a good game.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I'll sort of get one out of the way just as an example to the audience. Like the things that I had to say about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild would be, I'm not going to use that as an example this week, but that sort of thing, right? Like everybody and their mother played and loved and adored this game. And I played it and I was like, what are you guys talking about? This sucks. I hate this. And so, Jared, you got one off the top of your head, you think?
I do. I don't like and have never liked the Assassin's Creed franchise. I played the
that's a good
one.
take, and maybe not that hot of a take.
Yeah, well, maybe not.
Depends on what you're about to say. Tell me more.
Well, I played the first one on the 360. I think it was close to being a launch title, if not a launch title.
It basically was.
And it was one of those games that I got about an hour into, and it was probably 15 minutes into when the game was like the Oblivion moment when you make it out of the jail and it's like, hey, you're free. Go do whatever you want now. And that's supposed to be a cool moment. And I got like 15 minutes into it and I was like jumping into a hay bale because the game wanted me to. And I was like, this freaking sucks, dude. I don't like this at all. And I remember I went back to the second one when it came out, which was acclaimed, and played it.
A lot of people enjoyed the second one either the most out of all of them so far, even unto today,
right?
Or it's one of their favorites.
And the story, and there's probably people out there who are like real Assassin's Creed heads who are like, you don't get it. He's from the future, and he's what he's doing is important work, and
there's hay bales.
Yeah, and there's hay bales, and it's the human condition.
And the Freemasons and the Templar.
I don't care. I don't care. Yeah. And honestly, the story wasn't compelling to me at all. I played the second one for probably 3 or 4 hours trying to get into it, and it's not fun. And you go and you do like a big hit. You like assassinate like a big thing, and you kind of did a little bit of, I think if I remember correctly, there's navigation of terrain, and you do kind of prep work and scouting, and there's like following people, and it's like, is this fun or is this just fun to watch?
Now you're getting to the heart of it.
And maybe next week Greg is going to ask us examples of games that are better watched than played. That's a good topic, by the way.
That is a good topic.
Oh, put that in your back pocket.
Because I have ideas for those also.
Here we go.
Yeah, okay.
But
I liked Assassin's Creed 2 unapologetically, unironically, really enjoyed it. But I think I know why some people liked it that shouldn't have liked it as much as they did. And that is, they didn't pay attention in social studies. Oh. And playing Assassin's Creed, any of the Assassin's Creed games, was the closest thing they got to an ancient history lesson.
Right.
And they were like, wait, that was a real Michelangelo? Who? Whoa, that's a real Leonardo da Vinci now? That's a real guy.
So
wow.
Annoying.
And then they see like, they walk into especially in Assassin's Creed 2, you got to go to Florence, right? You got to be in a town that was pretty faithfully representing the Renaissance and what it looked like and what it sounded like. And, they really created a world that you could get lost in. If you think you could get into it, then you would probably enjoy this whole thing. And some people were like floored, right? Meanwhile, I know exactly what Renaissance music sounds like because I've been playing it in the symphonic band at UNCG in college. Like I know this world. I've read the articles and I paid attention in history, and like it wasn't surprising to me. It was just like cool. It was a novelty to like, wow, they really transport you into this time. It was. I will say this: there's a bunch of Assassin's Creed games that had been so annualized and repetitive and lame that they were falling on deaf ears for me. I was never gonna give a chance to like Assassin's Creed 6, in rural Montana or something. You know what I mean? Like there's just certain ones that like the setting is very kind of polarizing. The last one I checked out was Assassin's Creed Origins, which I think was the one. I think that's the right name. The one that was in Egypt. Right. Because I was a big Egyptology kid. I loved things that were in Egypt. I don't have any explanation other than Brendan Fraser's action-packed classic, The Mummy.
Great flick,
which is a great flick. But okay, so Assassin's Creed, I'm tracking. I'm feeling that. Greg, what would your example be? Do you think?
And we won't get too much into this because there are a lot of people that love this game series, and that's okay.
I'm ready.
But
hit it. Give me the hot take.
Call of Duty, guys. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Okay.
I've played Modern Warfare, the original one. I've not played the remake, which I hear is really good.
Right.
For all intents and purposes, like my impression has been that most COD games have been very well received. Most of them. Some of them less so than others.
Sure.
But I played Modern Warfare 2 when it first came out on Xbox 360. And I had a ton of fun playing it. It was great.
That is to say, ladies and gentlemen, especially those of you that may or may not have been alive when that game came out, there was not the most recent Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Modern Warfare 2, but the last time they made a game called Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, because the naming conventions of the Call of Duty series are so incredibly dumb.
The balls on those guys. Let's just name it the same thing as the other one.
So I'm talking about when the very first Modern Warfare 2 came out. So I remember playing Modern Warfare with a friend on PC, and then when Modern Warfare 2, the first one came out, I want to say 2006, 2007, somewhere around that time, 2008. 9 maybe, and I remember my brother and I playing it on Xbox 360, and we had a ton of fun for like, I don't know, two months of our lives. That was the game we played. You know, we had a ton of fun, and the graphics for the time were like very, very good, and the gameplay was fun and very responsive, and the community was friendly. This is when friendly gaming communities existed, which was what a time.
Yeah.
But I loved it. But the game, like, ultimately to me, and again, hot take, whatever that means to you, like, it's just team deathmatch over and over and over and over again. And
you can put whatever objective based game modes in there that you want, but they're not going to be played as much as TDM, and they will devolve into TDM very quickly.
Yeah,
Sorry. I was just going to say the negative impact that game has had also cannot be understated. The constant instant gratification, die, respawn, and back in.
Yes.
And like
yeah, exactly. And the way that people
TikTok brain, dude,
take that game loop and try and apply it to games like Siege, which Siege was never intended to be that ever. Or try to apply that game loop to even Tarkov, and I mean, even though that you can't respawn, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just the gunplay meta, the idea that like the most important thing about the game is that you kill other people, which I get. I get that idea. I mean, they're war games, right, guys? Like, we're playing war games where you're using guns to kill people. Okay.
Right.
But all that to say, I never got the COD thing. I enjoyed it the first time I played it. It was fun, and then it became super popular, and I never latched on,
Yeah.
And which is why I brought up the topic, because really, it's hard to argue that those games are not only massively popular, but generally made with a very high level of quality, generally. Right. I can't get into it.
So I will literally amen just sort of all of that, right? Like, yes. But there's a to your what you said about Tarkov briefly, right? And what Jared mentioned about it's truly impossible to overstate the TikTok brain sort of ADD stuff that bleeds out of Call of Duty into other games, because a game designer, a game studio, a team, right? They want to create art, and they decided to make a shooter, and they have to look at the landscape, and they have to go, all right, what components in popular shooters do we need to have, because people literally won't buy our game if we don't have them, right? And is it
Sure.
the set pieces? Is it the single player campaign or lack thereof? Or is it, really responsive, good netcode online play? Or is it, gun customization? Like what are the things we have to kind of Mr. Potato Head together so that our game looks like the rest of the landscape and people will buy into it? Well, unfortunately, the precedent in the Call of Duty set was you have to be able to jump in, get killed or kill people, and come right back as soon as you die. And there has to be a sense of being overpowered or having certain advantages. And there has to be like, this thing that develops over time of like, well, the way that you get good at Call of Duty is you have to 360 no-scope people, and that means you're really good, And so there's things that get built into, or the community creates in the Call of Duty franchise that bleeds out. You mentioned Tarkov. There is a new like flavor of Tarkov now called Tarkov Arena that is sometimes objective based and sometimes team deathmatch. It is an arena shooter where you don't have the same game loop as the rest of the sort of true Escape from Tarkov. They have an arena just like shoot 'em up mode now, 5-on-5. Like, what are you doing? Who asked for this? Yeah. Who cares about this? And their whole thing is, we want to have an esports scene. We want to have something engaging to watch. They do. It's stupid. I know.
That's so stupid.
They want to have something for people to watch when there's like a conference or a expo or a launch party when the game comes out one day, 50 years from now, and gets out of beta. And so, yeah, I think it's absolutely horrendous what people try to copy off of Call of Duty, because unless you have Call of Duty money, you're probably not making Call of Duty. Like, just stop. Don't do that. Do something else. You have like the Battle Royale thing that happened, right? And that spawned something new. And then guess what? Call of Duty Black Ops 2, 3, 4, one of those damn games.
Warzone.
There was some game, I remember you and I played it in Arizona, Jared. They had a Battle Royale mode. And it was kind of cool. We played it some, Yeah. Anyway, the last Call of Duty that I played was Modern Warfare. Remember, Jared, that came out just like a little while ago. You and I touched on it.
A year and a half ago, something like that, 2 years ago.
Free, like the multiplayer mode or something was free, and we schemed on that for a little while, and I enjoyed it. It was kind of cool. I forgot how snappy those games feel. They feel really good. There's a responsiveness and a polish, like Greg said. But yeah, Call of Duty's problematic. Okay, and it's not exactly. Benefit. You want to know how many Call of Duty games there are according to the Call of Duty fandom.com? Main series games, we're talking 20. If you include remasters and mobile games and stuff like that, you're looking at 51.
What?
That's some Kingdom Hearts level, like
going back to Call of Duty 2003. And United Offensive and Finest Hour under it. And then Call of Duty 2, 2005. Call of Duty 3, 2006. I'm skipping over all the expanded stuff. Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, 2007. That was the one that I jumped on a little bit on the 360. Yeah, that's what I was talking
about earlier.
Special shout out to Call of Duty 4, which was actually, single player was really cinematic and awesome, and the multiplayer
was super cool. It was
groundbreaking.
Super cool.
Not that I care. I was a Halo
Switching
kid.
to your sidearm's always quicker than reloading.
Right. Flashbang through the door.
Call of Duty World at War, they did like a World War II thing after that. And everyone was like, World War II, that's gay. And they're like, okay. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And everyone was like, yeah.
Was that 09, Jake? Was that 09?
That was 09 Modern Warfare 2.
That's the one I spent the most time on, I think.
Dick Getters, Modern Warfare 2.
Greg, do you remember, shout out to Trevor and John Wiseman in Grogan. They were like 1 or 2 dorms down from mine, and they would play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 until their eyes were bleeding and scream obscenities. Yeah. They had their headsets on, screaming obscenities at strangers on the internet. And Trevor was like incredible at that game. He had prestiged like 4 times or something. I remember one evening I went in there and he was like, "Dude, I just prestige again," and I was like, what? And,
also, you're really good at the bassoon, and you're in the best orchestra of the school. Like, that's
failing
cool.
all of his classes.
Dude, that was the thing. That kid was unstoppable. He was just good at everything he touched, including Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. But yeah, 2009, and then Black Ops 2010, Modern Warfare 3 2011, Black Ops 2. It was literally year after year after year, there was a new Call of Duty, literally every time.
And that's my whole thing. It's like
whatever.
it's the same game, right? That's my whole thing. And Jared, you seem like you've got a very educated, very methodical take on this. I'm curious to hear Jared's take on all this.
I think that the fourth one was a great game, and it pushed the genre forward. And unfortunately, I think it pushed the zeitgeist forward with the TikTok prank thing, like Jake is saying. I remember I was a Halo 3 kid, and all of my friends jumped ship to play this new game, Call of Duty 4, which I couldn't afford. Right. And I was like, anyways, I was like a Halo homer. So I like hated Call of Duty until my dad bought it for my brother for Christmas, and we played it, and I was like, all right, this game is awesome. You can like both.
Yeah. This is actually great.
But yeah, I mean, every experience after that, it becomes exhausting. Every year there's another Call of Duty, but wait a minute, this is the same game you played. It's a reskin.
Yeah. Seriously. And not to mention the incredible amount of like microtransactions and sort of like nonsense they play with you with the latest few that have come out.
Yeah. And at this point, it really is fascinating to me that they are able to capture as wide an audience as they do, because not only is the experience the same year over year, the experience is the same minute over minute.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have to think to play this game at all. You really don't. So, but there's a whole discussion about like the distance between the 2 points, the place where your brain is and how far it has to go to be satisfied. And Call of Duty's like this, bing, 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 you know, whereas you have a game like Tarkov, which is like you go further, you know, to reach this point where you're satisfied and you come back, and it's rewarding in how much longer and how much more effort it takes to be satisfied.
That journey, right? Because you have to take in a lot of information. You have to do a lot of planning. You have to you have to go grab stuff from the world to like assemble a strategy and a kit, and like what's your plan? Do you have a buddy? What are you doing? Are you observant enough to even survive in this world? You might not be. You might just get no scope from across the map and you're just going to be dead now. That's an interesting. You got like a psychology degree or something over there, brother? God dang, that's pretty good.
Well, which is hilarious about Tarkov. I'm trying to do an arena shooter thing because I can't think of a game that's less intuitively playable than Escape from Tarkov. Trying to get into the East.
Exactly. Can you imagine?
Such a mess. I want to see it.
You go look up some YouTube videos. It's interesting, but it is super duper duper not for me. And all the Call of Duty or all of the Escape from Tarkov like content creator dudes are all panning it. You know, there's a few people that have played it and they talk about the high points, but the low points are so low. Like they're incentivizing the wrong things, and like the gameplay loop doesn't make any sense. And
makes no sense.
The way that you get through this arena mode or level up or whatever is like really silly.
The only thing that would be cool about that is if they didn't screw themselves from the start and make it a paid separate entity. If they integrated the arena mode into like a Pink Slips style, like everybody puts 50,000 rubles on the line and builds a kit from that, and then you go in and whoever wins like takes everything. That would be cool. That would be dope.
Check that out. What if there was an extract on a certain map that if you extract through that map, you do a 5-minute round of whatever it's like the sort of all in winner take all or nothing. If you go loot a bunch of stuff, or maybe you didn't loot that much stuff and you're really desperate, you go in and the most geared chads that survived at these extracts, they go face off and you can take everything that they have if you win.
That would be rad.
We can work it. We can work a battle state right now.
They're Russian.
Big dumb idiots.
Jake, what about you, man? What are your game reviews you super disagree with?
So we've already mentioned one Nintendo franchise that I think has been sufficiently ruined in the past 2 installments, and that's The Legend of Zelda. I happen to think that side-scrolling Mario games need to be put to bed forever, like 5 games ago. Okay? Every time there's a new Super Mario Brothers, side-scroller, left-to-right game that comes out, I'm like, oh, really? That's interesting. Why, though? Why? Super Mario Brothers 2. Just listen to Video Game Donkey one time, right? It's a masterpiece. Leave it alone. That game is done. Side-scrolling games, I'm already not a huge fan of like 2D side-scrollers, but if I'm gonna play one, it's one that's way more engaging and not so linear and like, the Metroids of the world or whatever. I'm not even a huge Metroidvania guy, but like that's as close as I'll come to side-scrollers. When they put out, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, I think was the most recent one. And Greg, you played it and you said it doesn't suck, and I believe you. And
it's fun. My wife loves it because it's colorful.
If I sat down with
cute,
if I sat down with the right person, I'm sure I get a kick out of it. But there's already Super Mario Galaxy, Galaxy 2, Odyssey, the 3D ones. Like, I can forgive those because those tend to be more innovative, right? In a 3D sort of space, you can spin a new web of, Bowser is, has kidnapped Princess Peach or whatever. And you can find a new sort of setting for that. And the level design gets wild. And the problem I have with 2D side-scrolling Mario games, it's like they are pillaging the corpse of the reason that Nintendo exists at all today. And it feels bad to me that they would go back to the OG Nintendo man of the house, right, to old Grandpa Mario, and go, hey, patriarch of arguably all of video games, we're just going to do this whole thing again because you don't stand, as if it doesn't stand the test of time. You go back, tell me that you could beat the average person, that is. Tell me that you could beat Super Mario Brothers 2 in an afternoon right now. You probably can't, because that game has an incredible variety and challenge, and 100%ing that game takes time and learning, and there's enough there, and I have played it, for the record. I'm not just spitting that out of my butt, right? Like SNES all day. Back in I remember my grandparents' house, in their loft, they had a SNES plugged up to this big CRT TV. Oh man, nice. All day. So yeah, I think that's the main game or set of games that I need to see disappear forever. I don't think they need to be made anymore. Or if they were made, make it be like once per console generation and just stop. The only reason for that being, hey, there's new hardware out. What would Mario look like in today's, horsepower terms? I think that has a little bit of sort of redeeming quality to it, to see, God forbid, one day we'll have, ray traced Mario. But as the hardware improves, maybe it's worth it to.
Well, that'll be in like 40 years, because Nintendo's like 3 life cycles behind everybody else. So
yeah, I heard the Switch 2 is just it's just an Arduino. It's just like a baby little hobbyist electronics processor. Yeah.
Serial offenders, though, dude. Not Xfinity. I hate Xfinity. I do hate them, but Infinity Ward, Nintendo, and some of their studios. Mm-hmm. Definitely guilty of all these things that we're talking about.
These things that get serialized and annualized need bigger breaks in between them.
Xfinity Ward, can you imagine how horrific that studio would be?
The most nightmarish corporate name I've ever heard in my life.
Sanjay
Xfinity Ward
taking the stage at the E3, which no longer exists, being like,
"That's like
you are about to take a journey." Into the next generation of Call of Duty. The same game.
Micro Ubisoft, dude.
Oh, no.
You guys joke, but guys, it's happening.
Honestly, yeah. Blizzard.
It's gonna happen.
Microsoft
corporate mergers freak me out already, and that's one that is entirely untenable. The human race would be doomed. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh man. Cool. Nice work. Well, boys, let's wrap it up. I appreciate your thoughts on that. That was a lot of fun. When you're hearing this, it is already after Valentine's Day, but today is Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day, fellas. Hope you had a good one with your ladies or whatever.
Yeah.
I treated my wife to some chocolates and some smoked chicken wings, and she was very grateful. It was a good time. Dang. And hope everybody had a great one. Thank you so much, folks, for listening. We'll see you next time. Be sure to leave reviews, do the Q&A, comment. We are dropping new stuff on Instagram here and there as I have time. I've been finding some old captures of PUBG and Rainbow Six Siege, and I'll probably try to find some others that we throw out there together. We do not play video games enough together, for the record, fellas. We have got to get back on that before Jared gets married. But anyway, thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time. And until then, don't forget to get out there and touch some grass.